Okay, shut up. This movie was fun, so with this review, we're gonna have some fun. And since I'm a fan of both of these franchises, I thought, what the heck? Let's have some fun. So that's what we're gonna do. So, no saying I look stupid in the comments section, because I know, I'm aware. But we're having fun with this review, you understand? Okay. I'm a fan of both, it only makes sense. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station, your number one suggestion for anything and everything animation. I am your host, Bat Ninja, aka Jack Small, and today it's time to finish off the retro reviews for Cowabunga Calvacade with Batman vs. the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I adore this movie. I'm just going to say that right now. This is my, as of right now, second favorite Ninja Turtles movie. And easily up there in my top 3 Batman films as well. This film was so much fun. It was so funny, action-packed. I loved how dark it could get. I've been waiting a long time to talk about this one. What you're looking at right now was my favorite movie of 2019. Yes, even over Avengers Endgame. Deal with it. This literally gave me everything I wanted in a crossover like this, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I'm a huge fan of the comic book this is based on. I have the first issue somewhere. I don't remember where I put it. But yeah, needless to say, I'm a huge fan of both these franchises, so of course I'm going to love this movie. So, just for you guys, I'll wear this for the entire review. You guys can laugh at me all you want. And then, after this review is done, I get to go see Mutant Mayhem a day early, so you know what? It has its pros and it has its cons. So, without further ado, let's dive into this. We are going full deep dive analysis on this one, and I'm going to be reading off a ton of facts, a ton of trivia, and bringing up every single reference that I can find / remember. So, this may or may not be an hour-long review, maybe even an hour and a half. So, strap in, grab some popcorn, or in this case, pizza, grab a drink, and let's get started. So let's start off with our voice cast, like we always do. So, our top cast, here, what we got? We got Troy Baker as Batman. He's good in this role. He's also Joker. They don't list that for whatever reason, but he's also Joker. And he's really good in this role. Just not a fan of him as a person. I mean, he supports NFTs after all. Anyone that supports that is not a fan in my book. Then, of course, we have the legendary, amazing Eric Bauza as my boy, Leonardo. And he freaking nails it. He's one of the best parts of the movie for me. He did such an amazing job as Leo, and just like almost every other role he plays, I couldn't even tell it was him until I looked at the credits. He does such an amazing job. Speaking of people that do an amazing job, let's talk about Broadway star Darren Criss, who many of you may or may not know as I believe it was the Gravedigger from the Muppets Haunted Mansion. He's the voice of Raphael. And it's another one I didn't even think would be possible. I mean, a Broadway star doing a gruff, tough as nails turtle like Raphael. How would that even work? It works here, and it works in a fantastic way. He does such an amazing job as Raphael, and he gets some serious standout lines. He's so good as Raphael. I never thought I would like him so much. Then we have Kyle Mooney as Michelangelo. He's pretty funny, but he's serviceable. I just prefer the other voices more, like Townsend Coleman and Greg Sipes. Just my personal opinion. Oh, and Robbie Ress, before I forget. And then we have Baron Vaughn as Donatello. He's pretty good. He doesn't really get to do a whole lot. I mean, he does get to do some in conservation to the plot, but outside of his interactions with Batgirl, he doesn't really do much. Which is fine, because there is already a bunch of characters in this movie, someone had to get sidelined. But he's still a pretty prominent part of the movie, and he has some great lines. Then we have the rest of our cast, which consists of Carlos Alazraqui returning as Bane. If you guys don't remember from the DC Live reviews, he also voiced Bane in, what was it? Mystery of the Batwoman. Yeah, Mystery of the Batwoman and the New Batman Adventures. Then we have Cass Anvar as Ra's al Ghul. He does a great job playing this character. Then there's Rachel Bloom returning as Batgirl, who was also, I believe, from New Batman Adventures or some other Batman property. I don't know. I'm actually going to look that up real quick because I feel like she has voiced Batgirl before. I feel like she has. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being stupid. Could be a possibility. I'm usually pretty dumb. I mean, look. But she does a great job as Batgirl, and I found her pretty funny, especially her whole boo/retro mutagen argument she has with Donatello. Always never failed to make me laugh. Then John DiMaggio takes over as Mr. Freeze this time, and he does a pretty good job, even though Freeze is kind of there one scene and then gone the next, but he's still pretty good. Then Keith Ferguson voices Baxter Stockman, aka Stockman Fly, because he is the mutated version of Baxter Stockman in this variation, and he does a great job. Then we have Brian George as Alfred. He does a great job. He's pretty funny. Then there's Ben Garuk, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. He's the voice of Robin, and in this movie it's the Damian Wayne version of Robin. Then we have the legendary Tom Kenny returning as Penguin. If you guys don't remember, he also voiced Penguin in The Batman, in our very first DC Live review, Batman vs. Dracula. So, yeah. And yes, I know this is technically an August review, but screw it. I wanted to do this for DC Live, but when I found out the Mutant Mayhem was also coming out, literally right after July finishes, I'm like, you know what? Let's just flex it a little bit, because why not? Let's have some fun. So yeah, Tom Kenny, he's Tom Kenny. What more do I need to say? Then we have Andrew Kishino as the voice of Shredder. He does a great job, and this Shredder is actually pretty menacing. I honestly compare him more to the original 90s movie Shredder and the comic book Shredder, because here he's not treated like a joke, and he's not a total buffoon. Here he is serious, he is scary, and he can be very intimidating at times. So he does a great job in his role. Then there's Jim Meskimen as Commissioner Gordon. He's in one scene, he's involved in a pretty funny scene, but that's really all he gets. He's serviceable. And then Tara Strong as Harley Quinn. It's Tara Strong voicing one of her most well-known beloved roles. What more do I need to say? So, yeah, the cast here is great. I'm pretty sure there's more. Is it? I could have swore that there were more than that. Let me see. Oh, nope, that's everybody. Oh, she also voices Poison Ivy. And then Meskimen also voices Scarecrow. Oh, and then Ferguson's also Two-Face. Sorry, I forget that some of these guys play double roles in this movie. That's my own stupid fault, and I apologize for that. So yeah, that's the voice cast. Next, I guess we shall go to the trivia. And yeah, I'm probably going to read off at least 20 facts, because there's so many references and nods in this movie that I really need to just go all in with the references. So please consider this your spoiler warning, though I'm pretty sure me stating this might be an hour-and-a-half long review should have already been your spoiler warning, but whatever. So, here's the trivia. When the turtles are eating pizza, Alfred asks if they want napkins. The turtles ask what for. This is a reference to Secret of the Ooze, where April asks the turtles the same thing, and they respond in the same way. Nice little subtle nod for the fans. Previously, Batman and the Ninja Turtles appeared together in 3 comic book crossovers that were published jointly by both IDW Publishing and DC Comics, the Ninja Turtles comic book publisher as of release. The first one published by DC serves as the source material for the movie. They also appear together in the game Injustice 2. Yeah, where they were the final DLC of Injustice 2 and literally shocked everybody. Like, there were no leaks, there was nothing teasing that the Turtles were even going to be in Injustice 2 at all. It came flat out of nowhere, and everyone was shocked beyond belief. Trust me, it was some of the coolest reaction videos that you will ever find on the internet. When the Shredder first fights Batman, he jumps down from a high platform and lands on his feet in slow motion in the exact way he did during the final fight in the 1990 movie. Yeah. Like I said, this movie is stocked full of references. It is the first fully animated TMNT film to be rated PG-13. It is also the first Nickelodeon animated movie to be rated PG-13. Yeah, this was made in joint effort with Nickelodeon, since Nickelodeon is the current owner of the IP of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, yeah, there's that. During the opening scene, when Barbara Gordon is touring the lab with Lucius Fox, their outfits resemble those of April and Baxter from the '03 series. That's a really nice nod. The very beginning of the movie is reminiscent of the opening to Batman the Animated Series. Yeah, I got those vibes a lot. Baxter Stockman's voice is an homage to Jeff Goldblum, who played a scientist who turned into a fly in The Fly remake by David Cronenberg. As a horror fan, that was a really nice attention to detail. Not to mention that movie literally inspired Stockman to become a fly in the TMNT lore anyway, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Right around the film's release, a fourth crossover series comic book series event between Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles began publication, which is the third release by DC, as IDW only released one. This is intended to be both the final crossover in the comics and to celebrate the anniversary of both franchises, Batman's 80th and the TMNT's 35th, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool they were able to celebrate both of their anniversaries in one comic book. You don't get that very often. When Donatello first shoots a manhole cover, he says Bossa Nova, a nod to the title sequence from 1990 where the Turtles celebrated their first victory, and Donatello said the very same line. Love that. In the opening heist, one of Penguin's henchmen resembles the mutant leader from Dark Knight Returns, including the glasses, a look also similar to Krang's robotic body in the Ninja Turtles cartoon. This is the first time Batman and Joker are voiced by the same voice actor. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, this is the first time that both Batman and Joker have both been voiced by one actor in one movie. I'm kind of surprised they didn't try to pull that with Mark Hamill or Kevin Conroy. During the final battle, when Leonardo and Donatello face Ra's al Ghul, yes, I'm calling him Ra's, not Raish, deal with it. Ra's al Ghul, he states that Batman sends children to do his work for him, and that another must die to teach him the folly of his way. Okay. Sorry, I gotta take this off. My eyes are starting to water. But hey, I wore that for 12 minutes. Give me credit. That's longer than I did for the Batman Mask and the DC Live reviews. Okay, give me 1 sec. Let me put. I'm putting this back on, but I'm not gonna. Oh yeah, and I did make this mask myself, by the way. And if you're wondering how I got the fabric, I just took an old shirt that didn't fit me anymore and finangled it. So, yeah. I think I have this upside down. Yep. Okay, you know what, screw it. I'll put it back on when I review Mutant Mayhem later today. Yes, later today, not tomorrow. I'm actually getting an early screening as soon as I'm done with this review. I'm leaving around 4 o'clock to go see it, so... yeah. Where were we? This is an obvious reference to Jason Todd, the second Robin, who was killed when Ra's al Ghul hired Joker to distract Batman during one of his schemes. So yeah, this takes place in the same universe as Batman Under the Red Hood. That's awesome. The motorcycle Raphael rides near the end of the movie is modeled after Metalhead, the robotic ninja turtle created by Donatello from the 2012 series. Yeah, I kind of forget Metalhead wasn't in the 80s show. Interesting. In the first fight between the Turtles and the Penguin's henchmen, Donatello makes it a point to say Turtles aren't aliens. This is likely a reference to the recent live-action reboot movies where the Turtles were going to be aliens, until fan outrage caused Michael Bay to change it back to Turtles. Yeah, whoever thought of that idea should have been fired on the spot. Like, seriously? That... That was dumb. That was so dumb. In this video, Joker is turned into a movie. Whoever wrote this fact, you need to work on your English. In this movie, Joker is turned into a giant cobra. In the Lego Batman movie, Batman says his greatest fear is snake clowns. Okay, I didn't even know about that one. That's legit funny. Though not explicitly stated, it is hinted that this universe is Splinter mutated from a rat rather than a human. The indication of this is seen when Shredder loses his mask during the final fight with Batman. There is a scar on the left side of his face, reminiscent of the scar that his counterpart received from Splinter after he murdered Hamato Yoshi in the live-action movies. Like I said, it is stocked to the brim with references, and that's one of the things I love about it. And they're not forced references either. They're cute little nods that only the fans will see when they're paying attention. In a nod to the 1987 animated series, the Turtles' initials are on their belts again, but this time they are not on uniform buckles, but rather formed by various attachments to the belts. Leonardo's L is formed by straps he uses to tie his sword sheath to his belt. Donatello's D is formed by a standard belt buckle, while Raphael's R, which is the only initial in lowercase, bit of an odd decision, is formed by a loop strap on his belt. And then finally, Michelangelo's M is the most prominent, formed by straps of leather wrapped around his belt. Yeah, they really took their time designing all these turtles. After the final battle, Batgirl and Donatello trade online handles, and she gives him the name Oracle. This is the identity that Barbara Gordon adopts for herself after she is paralyzed by the Joker in the Killing Joke story prior to the New 52 reboot. Donatello, meanwhile, uses the name Both Staffs Are Cool, a play on the popular Doctor Who catchphrase, bow ties are cool. Okay, that's nice. The news broadcaster is called News 52, a reference to the New 52 reboot of the DC Universe. During a fight scene, Raphael says, "Hey creature, leave that kid alone," to Mr. Freeze. It's a reference to a similar line from Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd. Okay, that's a bit out there. While trying to stop the Cloud Seeder from releasing its payload all over the city, Michelangelo shouts to Donatello that "You do machines on the party, dude!" This line is obviously taken from the 80s and 90s cartoon themes description for Donatello and Michelangelo. And it's also referenced in the 2012 show, too. One of the Batman costumes in the Batcave is the original Red Bar winged suit concept sketch Bob Kane came up with when he and Bill Finger were first creating the character. Again, really nice nod. During the final battle, Raphael can be seen slamming an enemy back and forth on the ground in the same style the Turtles would do in the video games Turtles in Time and the Hyperstone Heist. You know, when you grab them, you just go and then you throw them into the screen. Yeah, that's what that's an homage to, and it's awesome. When the Turtles fight Bane, he says he was the one who broke the bat and tries to break one of the Ninja Turtles' shell the same way Bane breaks Batman's spine in the comic book Batman 1497, also known as Nightfall. However, all Bane ends up breaking is his own knee because he doesn't know that he can't break a turtle shell. Which, I mean, you can, but it takes a heck of a lot of force. Michelangelo's Batman drawings on the dry erase board were drawn by TMNT co-creator Kevin Eastman. Okay, that's funny. I didn't even know he drew that. Though it is never actually stated, the Robin of this movie is most likely the Damian Wayne version. I already said that. This is indicated by his knowledge of the League of Assassins, his hesitation to join in the farewell pizza party, and his addressing Batman as father, a term that neither the Dick Grayson or Tim Drake Robins would have used to describe Bruce. His costume also closest resembles Damian Wayne's costume from the comics, as opposed to the other costumes worn by the previous Robins. Yeah, it's Damian Wayne. They don't outright say it, but it's Damian Wayne. None of the actors record their lines together. That sucks a little bit. This isn't the first time Troy Baker has portrayed Batman and the Joker. While he has portrayed both in multiple projects, he has portrayed Batman most notably in the Telltale series of Batman games, and most notably portrayed Joker in Batman Arkham Origins, whereas Batman was taken over by the great Roger Craig Smith. Yeah, Roger voiced him in Origins. And he did an amazing job because he's Roger Craig Smith. References are made to Powers Industries. In Batman Beyond, this was the company owned by Derek Powers before he merged it with Wayne Enterprises. Batman's use of the word Cowabunga may be a reference to the end of the original 1990 TMNT movie. When the Turtles are coming up with adjectives to describe their victory, Splinter interjects saying he has always liked Cowabunga and said he made it funny. During the final battle at Ace Chemicals, Michelangelo flings a foot ninja directly at the foreground, exactly like the Turtle characters do in the multiple TMNT beat-em-up video games. Marks the voice acting debut for Rachel Bloom in an animated movie. She would later go on to voice Silver in Angry Birds 2, Queen Barb in Troll's World Tour, and Up and Extinct. Okay, so she hasn't voiced Barbara Gordon before. I could have swore she did. Or am I thinking of someone else? I don't know. She does a great job in the movie, though. When Raphael hits Shredder as he flies by, saying, "In your dumb face, Shredhead," he's holding his size like he's giving Shredder to... Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't realize that was his size the first few times I watched it. I literally thought he just flipped them off as he was flying down. But no, it was his size, and he was holding it up like he was flipping him off. That's creative and funny. Okay, there's a few spoilers in here. Alright. 5 more facts, then we'll go into some quotes. While the Turtles are driving to the final battle in the Turtle van, a calendar can be seen inside the van that is on the month of April. This is it is a reference to the Turtles' friend April O'Neil, who throughout the history of the TMNT franchise had different roles depending on the canon of the comic book series or TV show / movie presented. Lab assistant, antique dealer, reporter, archaeologist, etc., etc. When Batman gets turned into a mutant bat, he looks reminiscent of Man-Bat. Man-Bat was the antagonist of the premiere episode of Batman the Animated Series. In the scene where Michelangelo deflects Mr. Freeze's ice shots with his nunchucks, oh, I love this one. This is one of my favorite references in the movie. His movements are exactly like the opening titles of the original TMNT 80s cartoon, where he deflects ninja stars. Really nice attention to detail. During the final battle, the device that is built using the Cloud Seeder is revealed. The addition of the Cloud Seeder adds a spear on top of the device, which makes it bear a striking resemblance to the eye on top of the Technodrome from the TMNT series. Nice. And finally, the move Leonardo uses to defeat Ra's al Ghul in the final battle is similar to the 5-point palm exploding heart trick Beatrice used on Bill in Kill Bill. Bill was played by David Carradine, who was well known for his Kung Fu TV series. TMNT creator Kevin Eastman has cited the series as one of his influences. Additionally, though their motivations are different, there are parallels between the characters of Bill and TMNT's Splinter. Okay. I honestly thought that was just a cool little ninja technique. I didn't realize that was an actual reference. Okay, now I'll throw in one little reference of my own. And this one was one of my favorites in the movie. When they're doing the whole, gearing up to go fight scene before the two teams even meet. We see the Turtles in silhouette on a rooftop in the same poses and in the same order as in the very original intro of the 87 show. That was a really nice attention to detail. There's a ton of other references too, but I don't want to spoil every single one of them because this movie has so many great things that are just going to make both Turtles fans and Batman's fans smile and have a blast for this movie that I don't want to spoil every single thing. Trust me, there's even more references than that. Okay, what's next? Let's go to quotes. Okay, this one. This is when, during the final battle, Robin's looking for someone to fight, and he comes across Baxter Stockman. "You, Fly Man! Huh? Prepare to defend yourself with whatever formidable abilities you may possess. I surrender. I don't even work for the Foot. I'm basically a hostage. Don't hit me." Pukes in front of Robin. "You are a terrible disappointment." Yes, this one. This is Commissioner Gordon's scene in the movie. It's hilarious. "Ninjas, as if we didn't have enough problems in the city. Commissioner Gordon, what have you got for me?" "It's Arkham. Alarms went off an hour ago, but when... What are those? Teenagers, mutants, ninjas, turtles. Fill in the blanks in your own punchline here. Just think about your retirement, someplace where the turtles don't talk and clowns are funny. It's okay, Jim. They're friends. Arkham. Right. My people tried to move in. They were attacked by ninjas, like the ones that have been knocking over laboratories. Shredder. We've got the perimeter locked down, but we have to assume that there are hostages inside. Guards, doctors, nurses. I need you to... Sure. Leave before I finish. That never gets old. I'm still here. Ah! Like, it's a playful jab at the whole disappearing before I finish the scene, but it's done in a way that doesn't feel spiteful, which automatically makes it better than Turtles Forever. What's another one? Oh, this one. This one's funny. This is when Roz pretty much has Leonardo on the ground defeated in their final battle. Foolish child. I am hundreds of years old and have trained with the greatest trainers in history. How could you possibly... And Leonardo, being a teenager, just goes right for the crotch. Usually I groan at those kind of jokes, but in a movie like this, it makes a lot of sense and it's funny. Oh yeah? Well, I'm 16, and I learned this from a rat. And then he does the ninja technique. Okay, one more from the final battle. No tricks. No gadgets. I promised you would die if you stood in my way. This is Shredder and Batman. You are no match for me. Now I will take control of the League of Assassins, harness the power of the Lazarus Pits, and the Foot Clan will rule for thousands of years. Any last words? Cowabunga. What? Cowabunga? Yeah. Boom! In your dumb face, Shredhead! It's too funny. One more. Okay, this one. When the teams actually stop fighting each other, and Raph's talking with Robin while Batgirl's talking with Donatello. So this League of Assassins seems like your standard evil ninja deal. Hardly. Despite their name, the League would better be understood as a death cult, worshipping Ra's al Ghul, the demon's head. Okay, fine. Creepy evil ninjas then. He wants to use the League to tear down cities like Gotham and rebuild them in his image. Yeah, Roz obviously has plans for the mutant your Shredder brought to the city. Ooze. We call it ooze. Really? Ugh, I do not like that word. Ooze. Gross. Right. Shredder gives Ghoulie the ooze. They build some kind of gizmo, and in return, let me get this straight. Shredder gets a pit? The Lazarus Pit. It's how Ra's al Ghul survived for centuries. Its magic grants immortality to any who bathe in it. An immortal Shredder? That would... suck. As much as the words immortal Shredder freak me out, I think Batgirl and I have solved one of the problems. Yup, with the info Donnie... I can call you that, right? By all means. Cool. That Donnie had on his T-phone, I whipped up a retro mutagen, anti-ooze, not gonna call it that. This will reverse the effects of the stuff. You're gonna want to get that anti-ooze away from this happily mutated turtle. Don't worry. It'll only work on someone who's been mutated in the last 12 hours. After that, the DNA changes are baked in. Yeah, although maybe worry a little, because it's untested. Right now, there's a, I'm gonna say, 40% chance of lethal side effects. I agree with the turtle. Go stand over there. Oh, that's too funny. Any more? Ah, yes, this exchange with Batman and Leonardo while they're sparring. I'm still recovering from whatever Shredder did to me. I've never seen an attack like that. It must have been the Sato Oshi strike. It's a powerful ninja technique that dates back to hundreds of years. Said to be created by the founders of the Foot Clan, it focuses all the body's energy into a single blow and can be proved as fatal to its wielder as it is to the opponent. Because of that, it's been lost to history. Only 2 living ninja masters know how to utilize its full power. My father Splinter and the Shredder. Good to know. Shredder may have ancient ninja moves, but I've still got a utility belt. Just Batman being Batman. Any more? Ah, yes, this one. This is after they have their first fight with Batman and get their butts kicked. And this is how it goes. They call him the Batman. Oh, Batman. Yeah, no, I'm glad that half an hour of research pulled up a name I could have guessed in 2 seconds. I read rumors about a supernatural bat creature in Gotham, but I assumed it was an urban legend, or that he was a mutant like us. That guy was definitely human, and I think his supernatural powers are just his gadgets. We already know what he is. He's awesome! Unless he's a bad guy, that'd make him like 40% less awesome. No one knows his motives, but it appears that he can only attack criminals, especially this clown guy. So he wears a Dracula costume and punches clowns. Who cares? The dirtbag stole my sigh! Dracula costume? What kind of Dracula movies are you watching? Look, all I'm saying is ever since Shredder stole the use from TCRI and came to Gotham, we know he's been working with a new partner, right? It's gotta be this bat creep. I'm not so sure. The way he fought, avoiding lethal blows, he wanted to figure us out. Like a detective. Okay, bros, I broke it down. Awesome, little bat throwing things, cool car, sweet bat hat. Not awesome, kicked our butts, maybe evil, mean voice. Either way, after Wayne Enterprises, we have no idea where the Foot will be next. The Batman is our only lead. Agreed. Whether friend or foe, he was at the scene of the crime. Like, the lines in here are so good. Like, every character is acting in character, nothing feels out of place. It's really impressive. Okay, that's enough quotes, that's enough trivia, and that's enough me prattling. Let's get straight to the full-on plot synopsis. This is your spoiler warning. If I can find this stinking thing. Oh, it doesn't have a synopsis? Oh, bummer. Okay, well, that sucks. Alright then, well, that leaves me in a bit of a weird spot, because I've wanted to go all out for this movie, but it doesn't have a plot synopsis. And I'm not going to Wikipedia, because they are very unreliable. I guess I'll just talk about some of my favorite parts and move on from there. And talk a little bit about that end credits stinger. I think the first thing I'll bring up that I really enjoyed about this movie are the Turtles' designs. I think these designs are really freaking cool. Leo looks great. I like the L they made on his belt being blue like his bandana. Mikey's hilarious. Raphael is tough as nails. And Donnie is also funniest, but also the smartest one. And then his interaction with Batgirl is great. Raph's back and forth with Robin is great. And I love Leonardo's whole conversation and interactions with Batman. It makes sense because they're both the leaders of their respective teams. Not to mention they're both wearing blue. So, I mean, kind of end up having to get along after that. And then they have some cool spars. And then the fight scenes are fantastic in this movie. Like that Batman Shredder battle at the beginning of the movie, just amazing. The final battle is nuts. It's just an amazing, fantastic, awesome film. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the ending now, including the end credits stinger. So here's your spoiler warning for the 10th time in this review. Whatever, we're going to keep going with it. So after Shredder gets blindsided by Raphael, flipping him off with his size and smashing his face mask with his shell, Batman's able to, apologies for my language here, but kicks his ass. And then right when it looks like Shredder's about to get back up and keep fighting, that's when the Cloud Seeder that Mikey wrecked the crap out of while he and Donnie were up in the sky, he ends up getting thrown into that same vat of chemicals that made Joker, and I think you know where this is going. At the end of the movie, Shredder ends up digging himself out of the rubble, and then we see his face, and yeah, it's a Joker Shredder. If that's not a great tease for a sequel, I don't know what is, but we haven't gotten a sequel since then, and this came out in 2019, and it's been, 4 years since this movie came out? And we still haven't gotten an announcement of a sequel, so I don't know if we're going to get one, but either way, that's a heck of a way to end your movie. Another thing I want to point out about this movie is the actual credits themselves, which are really cool. Not only are they color-coded to fit each character, but they also have these really cool variations of classic Batman comic covers, but just have the TMNT added in. Like, for example, the very first Batman cover is recreated, but using the original Mirage version of Leonardo, which is really cool. And then there's ones like him, like Batman introducing the Ninja Turtles to the Justice League, a bunch of stuff like that. They're really cool little variations of the comics, and they even use different fonts depending on which era of the TMNT they're in. Like, for example, that very first one uses the original Mirage style comic book logo, and then later on it's a bit more of the modernized one that we're used to. So I really like that variation. It really makes it feel unique and makes each one feel like it's from a specific era. Now, these aren't real comic books, they're just variations of Batman's most iconic comic covers, but thrown in with the Ninja Turtles. But it does a great job trying to convince you that it's actually, real, which they aren't, but it's still a really cool little set piece. And then the score is fantastic, the fights are great, the choreography is insanely good here. And while I did reference a couple really good jokes in the quotes, there is a ton of other great jokes, like when Penguin thinks that Batman's here, even though he sees 4 outlines that clearly aren't Batman, and then Raphael jots behind him, he's just like, do I look like a freaking bat to you? And then, of course, another thing I should point out that I think a few other people pointed out when reviewing this movie, this is the darkest version of the Ninja Turtles that we have ever gotten on screen, whether animated or live action. Yes, even darker than the 90s movie, because this has some pretty freaky imagery. Let's start with probably the freakiest, the mutations of the actual Arkham inmates, because after Joker helps Roz get the Cloud Seeder along with Penguin, he's rewarded with a thing of TCRI ooze, and he uses it on the inmates of Arkham, aka all Batman's most well-known rogues gallery, and turns them into mutants. And they're pretty freaking cool ones. Harley Quinn's a hyena, Mr. Freeze is a polar bear, Scarecrow's a crow, Poison Ivy's a giant poisonous, what was it called? Venus flytrap. And then Joker's a cobra. And yeah, that's it. Joker's a cobra. His is probably the weakest of them, but it's not bad. And we also get to see a mutated Batman, too, when Batman gets injected with a combination of both the mutagen ooze and Joker's venom. It's about as awesome as it sounds. And then there's also the whole final chase scene leading up to the final battle in Ace Chemicals, where they have to fight not only the normal Foot Clan, but also a mutated version of the Foot Clan with, like, pigeons and dinosaurs and it's nuts. It's nuts, and it's awesome in all the best ways you want it to be. And then you get to the final battle itself, which is great. There's a nice bit of brutality here, because there is blood in this movie, and a pretty decent amount of it, too. It's not, like, super graphic, aside from one scene where when Ra's and Shredder first infiltrate Arkham, Ra's cuts the dude's freaking head off. Um, Outside of that, it's not that vicious and bloody. Outside of that, it's just blood that goes down the face or blood that spurts out here every now and then. Which, again, really adds a nice darker edge to this story, despite also having that goofy, silly tone that we expect out of Ninja Turtles. But there's also another really cool reference in here that I do want to mention. Don't worry, it's the last one. And that is when Donnie is getting into a fight with, I believe it's Roz, because him and Leo are double teaming Roz. And Roz breaks Donnie's arm. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like this is an homage to Donatello's canon first death in the IDW comics, when Bebop and Rocksteady break his arm, break his shell, and then pretty much beat him to death. Like, I could be wrong on that. And then another scene I want to highlight here is that Leonardo and Batman end up fighting Scarecrow. And instead of making it like a super heavy action fest, instead they decide to go with a more psychological route, using Scarecrow's fear toxin, and we get probably the most disturbing imagery in the entire movie, as we see the Turtles, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello in this vision, eaten down to their bones by crows. Yeah, it's pretty freaky, but it's freaky in all the right ways. And then the other scene where Leo holds Vision Mikey's hand up, and it just disintegrates into bone and then straight into dust. Like, that is some freaky imagery. And then, of course, he thinks that Batman is Scarecrow taunting him when it's actually... Well, he thinks that it's Scarecrow taunting him, but it's actually Batman trying to calm him down. And Leonardo finally gets to focus and gets a pretty badass moment, so... Yeah, this one also kind of dives a bit into Leo's psychological, mindset of what would happen if he lost his brothers. And he would not be able to even live with what happened. Because if it weren't for Batman, Leo probably would have both killed Batman, and then Scarecrow probably would have killed him, so... Yeah. Like I said, this movie's pretty dark. Don't think that just because it's PG-13, that means that it's going to be light and fun. It's mostly light and fun, but it has its dark, freaking scary moments, and it works because of both the Ninja Turtles having their own dark moments in the comics, and Batman being Batman. He does have his sillier interpretations, but most of the time we are more well known of him as a dark brooder with these dark, gritty comic books. So, yeah, it works perfectly. We're almost at the 1 hour mark, so I guess I'll just go ahead and get to my written review now. Sorry for beating around the bush, but I kind of had to improvise a bit because there's no synopsis on Facebook, which is stupid because you think that it would actually have its synopsis, but I guess people either don't care enough or they just don't know this movie's existence. I don't know. Alrighty. You guys ready? This is a pretty long one. Here we go. Excellent hyper-stylized 2D animation, amazing voice acting, especially Eric Bauza's phenomenal Leonardo, and Broadway star Darren Criss' spot-on Raphael. The turtle designs are great and fit with the Batman universe incredibly well. The story, while a bit simple, is a lot of fun to watch unfold, and does pretty much everything you want them to do with this concept. The fights are fantastic and full of creativity and fantastic choreography. The interactions between the Bat family and the TMNT is great and perfectly in character from both sides. The twists are numerous and very much unpredictable, which makes it a lot of fun. There's a nice darker edge to it with blood and some horrific imagery. The villains are great and make me laugh from their constant banter back and forth, specifically Shredder and Roz having their disagreements with one another. Where is it? The humor is excellent and very funny. This is arguably one of the funniest TMNT movies because all of Mikey's jokes and the references and the in-jokes and the nods and the jabs at the Batman franchise here and there. Especially the whole blimp thing, which is pretty hilarious. The references are plentiful and even take jabs at both universes, but it's not done in a way that's spiteful. It's done in a way of just poking fun at it. The final battle is awesome, the ending is pretty much perfect, the Global Music Award winning soundtrack is fantastic and perfectly fits every scene, and also feels like a perfect blending of a Batman score with a Ninja Turtle score. The pacing is excellent, its runtime is very brief, and doesn't overstay its welcome. Like, this movie's not even an hour and a half. It's barely an hour and 20 minutes. And the rewatch value is ridiculously high. Its one and only problem, and it's really just a nitpicky thing, is that it's not at all accurate to the actual Batman/TMNT comic it's based on, making so many changes from the source material that it feels like its own fully original film instead of being a faithful adaptation of its comic book material, like most of these DC animated movies are. The comic itself is excellent, and I recommend you give it a read. Heck, it was so successful they literally did a second one. But when you watch this movie, don't try to judge it by its accuracy to said comic book, or you might end up having a pretty frustrating time. Also, it has Troy Baker, Mr. I Support Stupid Pointless NFTs himself, as both Batman and Joker. He does a good job in his roles, but not having Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill was a huge missed opportunity, and Troy Baker is a bit of an unlikable douche. At least in my opinion. Overall, though, I adore this movie. As a huge Batman and Ninja Turtles fan, I had a blast. It's fun, creative, fan-servicey, action-packed, dark, funny, serious, and very fast-paced. While I still prefer the original 90s movie just by a slight margin and nostalgia. This is a very close second. Yes, I had to watch it in a double feature with the abysmal Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, but thankfully I watched this one first and my experience wasn't stained by that pile of shite. Highest recommendation possible, Turtles fans will be satisfied and Batman fans will love it, and it's pretty much anyone who's a fan of comic books will also have an absolute blast with it. Easily the second best Ninja Turtles movie and top 3 best Batman films of all time. That pretty much sums up all my thoughts on this movie right there. This movie is a blast, this movie is fun, and if you're a fan of either franchise or both franchises or just comic book movies in general, you're going to have a great time with this movie. The animation, the writing, the directing, the soundtrack, the fights, the interactions, the dialogue, the story, it is all pretty much top-notch, phenomenal, moves at a fast pace, but also gives the story time to breathe. It's just a fantastic movie for both franchises and arguably one of the greatest crossover movies ever made, right up there with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It is a fantastic film that, if you somehow have not seen it yet, you absolutely need to. As a fan of Batman, you will be impressed. As a fan of Ninja Turtles, you will have a great time. And if you're a fan of both, this is going to be like fan fiction heaven to you, as Nostalgia Critic also praised it in his review of it. Seriously, go check Nostalgia Critic's review out of this movie too. It's actually pretty entertaining and a lot of fun. So, yeah, watch the movie, watch that review, and thank you for watching this review. I know it's a bit of an oxymoron, but whatever. Okay. Now that we've done the whole review part of this, now I'm going to be nice and I will put this back on. Please ignore my messy hair. It is getting so ridiculously long and I need a haircut. So let me try to put this mask on again, because I want to do it for this final verdict. There, I think I got it. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this thing. There we go. About as perfect as I'm gonna get, so let's go ahead and get to the final verdict, shall we? Yes, that looks stupid. Deal with it. So, my final verdict For Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to be the highest 9.5 I can possibly give it. It is a fantastic movie that you absolutely need to check out. It's fast paced, it's dark, it's fun, and it's pretty much just fan fiction heaven for fans of both franchises. Highly recommended, and if it weren't for its startling amount of lack of accuracy to the actual source material, which again I said is a nitpick, I still think this is a phenomenal movie. It's my second favorite Ninja Turtles movie and easily among my top 3 favorite Batman films. Yes, up there with Batman 1989. You guys need to check this movie out if you haven't already. This is a true masterpiece. Well, that's it. That is all the retro reviews for Cowabunga Calvacade. And yes, I know it's technically not July, but it's still a DC Live review anyway. Deal with it. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as I fix my mask. And stay tuned because originally this was going to be the only review you were getting today, but I got invited to an early screening of Mutant Mayhem. I'm so excited to finally watch this movie. So I'm going to go do that, and I will see you guys when I review Mutant Mayhem later today. Don't worry, it won't be spoilers or anything like that. It will just be my overall thoughts. So, yep, that's it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Jet Small, aka Bat Ninja, aka the host and leading man of Animation Station. I'll see you guys next time for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Cowabunga dudes! Okay, I sound so cheesy. I'll see you for Mutant Mayhem. Take care, guys.